Welcome to the NIT season tip-off as part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. And welcome to the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York. Third place game, then the championship game. Kansas-Tennessee top 5 matchup here at the NIT season tip-off. Going to be a great evening of basketball here in New York. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman and Jay Billis clearly suffering from some Maui withdrawals right now. So we decided to wear these shirts a little bit longer. He's still got his Maui gyms on him. But we got some basketball to talk about here in Brooklyn, including a couple of programs who have played against each other in various conferences over the years, Marquette and Louisville. Let's start with Marquette and a couple of guys who can knock down shots with the best of them in the entire country.
Well, Dan Schulman, a 60-degree difference between Maui and Brooklyn, but not a drop at all in the quality of play we're going to see here in the NIT. First with Marquette, Sam Hauser and Marcus Howard, two of the best shooters in basketball, not just college basketball, but basketball. Both are career 47% three-point shooters. Marcus Howard, the little guy, has had a 52-point game. He's made 11 threes in a game twice in his career. And Sam Hauser, one of the most complete players in the country and one of the most underrated players in America.
New head coach for Louisville, Chris Mack, formerly of Xavier. Great run there. Third coach in as many years for the Cardinals. What's he trying to bring to this team?
Well, he's trying to bring a pack line defense. They're going to be as tough as they can be. A much different style of play than Rick Pitino had at Louisville, but one that's equally as effective. Marquette
losing to Kansas on Wednesday. Louisville losing to Tennessee. Both teams, though, had a really good shot to win the game, but they suffered runs from the opposing team at inopportune moments. And now here they are in the third place game, trying to avoid going home 0-2. Both teams will be thankful for a victory here tonight. Their coaches will be in a much better mood at practice the next couple of days if they can win this one.
Boy, Marquette defended the initial action, that little lob pass by Louisville, very well. Just didn't get the ball at the end.
And the three will go down for V.J. King, the junior from Cleveland, the former McDonald's All-American. Also keep an eye on Ryan McMahon, 30 in red, making his first start for Louisville tonight. Got poked in the eye on that offensive trip and still bothered by it back on D.
Kristen Cunningham guarding Marcus Howard. He's going to have to run after him all night. Marquette runs a lot of actions to try to get Howard and Hauser open for three-point shots, but this is where they need to be effective, inside.
Nice little jump hook there by Theo John, the 6'9" sophomore out of Minneapolis.
Against Louisville's ball screen coverages, I think you're going to see Marquette try to throw back on the action and then look inside. Throw back, throw in.
Another three-point attempt, and this time it's the big fella, Steven Enoch, the center, who knocks it down. He's now taken 2 threes this year, and he's made them both.
Well, that bodes very well for Louisville. Enoch went scoreless in the game against Tennessee, and they are a talented team that I think could be much more effective on the offensive end.
Hauser left it short. Good defense by King, and here he comes the other way. V.J. King, one of several Cardinals who have played for 3 different coaches in 3 years. Rick Pitino, David Padgett, and now Chris Mack. On the other side, the coach of the Golden Eagles is Steve Wojciechowski, whose team is bigger and deeper than they were last year. Can they challenge for the top of the Big East Conference?
I think they'll be in the upper half of the Big East, but they're injured right now and a little bit banged up. They got guys coming back from injury, and then they've got a player, Greg Elliott, who has been out with a thumb surgery. He's not going to be back till mid-December. When they get him back, he's a really good player, and they need him.
John with a left hand this time, and down with another rebound is King.
Not a bad move by Theo John, but I think he could just power that up to the rim. There's no reason he has to settle for a left-handed jump hook there.
McMahon turns it over, stolen by Howard, and back comes Marquette.
Good read of the eyes of the passer on that baseline drive, baseline drift.
And a little stop-and-go move draws a foul on McMahon. Well, he is shifty and dangerous and has great range. 11 threes in 2 different games last year, and just one of the great shooters. As you can see, he didn't have a good shooting night in the semifinal against Kansas. Was good in the first half. Marquette knocked down 11 threes in the first half of their game against Kansas, led by 9 at the break, and then the Jayhawks came out, Jay, on a 22-0 run to start the second half.
Well, Kansas did a better job of putting pressure out on the perimeter, and the pressure really seemed to bother Marquette. They also went small more often, and did a lot better job in ball screen coverage than they did in the first half.
Shot clock at 5. Howard got a switch. Hauser up with a 3. And a good job so far on the defensive glass by the Cardinals.
Well, Louisville made Marquette go deep into that clock, and they had to take a rushed one. Not the one they wanted.
McMahon, got to keep an eye on him from beyond the arc. He's right up there in terms of shooting ability with Howard and Hauser.
You have to get a hand up. You have to make him put it on the deck. Good pass. Great reversal and good pass.
And a good start for the game on the interior for Marquette as John has both of their buckets.
And that's really what Theo John needs to bring, a post presence, just being a threat to score, and then he's got to protect the basket.
Behind the back, pull up from beyond the arc for King. And look at Jamal Cain skying for the rebound. He tried to get rid of it before he hit the deck, but he didn't.
Marquette doing a good job on getting it to the second side of the floor, and as soon as they got it to the second side and reversed it, Theo John was wide open inside, and VJ King couldn't get around. He got switched off and couldn't get around in front of him. And anytime there's a mismatch, you just need to throw that ball inside and take advantage of that mismatch.
Cunningham to inbound it for Louisville, a grad transfer from Samford. We just saw another grad transfer from Samford, Justin Coleman. A terrific guard that we saw out in Maui. He had himself a heck of a tournament.
Well, he really played well, Justin Coleman. He's going to have to continue to play well because Arizona has a tough time putting points up if their guards don't score them.
Well, battle on the inside. King around and out, can't finish, and back comes Howard.
What good defense by Sam Hauser, just making King take that fadeaway. Got a switch here. They need to go inside on that switch.
Sakar Annam, and he draws the foul. Just in off the bench, and he'll be at the free throw line when we come back to Brooklyn.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge Black Friday savings. And Domino's. Order online and track your order.
Just getting going here in the third place game of the NIT season tip-off. Louisville leading Marquette 6-4. We told you about Sam Hauser, the junior, and one of the great shooters in the country. He's got a little brother who's very talented as well. You see Sam there on the left, Joey on the right. Joey is 2 years younger than Sam. They are from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Getting older, getting bigger, getting recruited. Sam goes to the Spash Brothers, the Stevens Point high school that they went to. And now Joey is a member of the Marquette Golden Eagles as well, and he's their number 3 scorer right now.
Good player. Both are good players. Sam is one of the most underrated players in the country. He does everything out there and doesn't get near the credit nationally that I believe he deserves. And Joey's going to be a terrific player. He came to college early in January. Really couldn't do much because of injury, but got the proper medical care and is really going to blossom, I think, into a great college player.
SPASH, an acronym for Stevens Point Area Senior High. And Joey's actually an inch taller than Sam. Sam's 6'8", Joey's 6'9". They can both play inside and outside. Sakar Annam at the line now for the Golden Eagles. And he missed them both.
Until a couple days ago, I didn't know how Sakar Annam got his first name. His parents are Samuel and Carla.
Right.
And because of the first couple letters in each one of their names, they came up with Sakar. And so I was thinking, well, I wonder what my name would have been if my parents did that.
Yeah.
Margie and Anthony, so it could have been Anmar or Moron.
Do I get a vote?
I know what your vote would be.
Wave off the basket. That's a travel. I think you have the right. Well, I guess you don't have the right to choose. Your parents would have given that to you. Hopefully they would have made the prudent choice.
You may have the right, but nobody asked me.
That's right.
Couldn't really respond at the time.
Yeah. And in mine, since my parents are watching right now, and would feel very left out if I didn't. So I would be, I guess, Arnie Anelli. Right? Think we could pull that off?
Or LR.
Or LR. Sakar Annam with the ball.
Good drive.
Left hand, not there, and another defensive rebound for the Cardinals. Again, cleaning up the glass nicely. This time it's Sutton.
Marquette really needs to continue to pound the ball into the paint. At times, because they're such good shooters, they can tend to settle for jump shots and rely an awful lot on Sam Hauser and Marcus Howard to score their points. But they've got to have other guys step forward.
This is Quan Ford, grad transfer from Richmond, into the game at the point now for Louisville as Sutton misses the three. And down with the ball for Marquette is a grad transfer for them, Joseph Chartouni, who played 3 years at Fordham. He's from Montreal, and he will come in there, and Howard kind of slides to the 2 spot when Chartouni comes into the game.
I think Chartouni is a really important player for Marquette. I think you mentioned he transferred from Fordham. He was an all-defensive team in the A-10 and all A-10 third team. And he's a guy that can come in and play the point guard position. He's a good passer, but he's got to step forward and put some points on the board and be a threat to score.
It's interesting, Jay, as grad transfers become more and more common since the rule came in a few years ago. Obviously, you're only getting these guys for 1 year. And sometimes they seem to blend in instantly, and sometimes it takes a little bit more time for everybody to figure out how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's a totally different system. Even though they're more experienced, they're not experienced in the system they're transferring into. And everything's new. They have all new teammates, and they might have been complementary players from the place they transferred from.
At the line, Sam Hauser, better than 16 points per game. Outstanding shooter, as we mentioned, made 95 threes last year and shot 49% from beyond the arc as V.J. King checks back in. And this is a much sturdier, bulkier V.J. King than we saw the last couple of years.
Yeah, both he and Dwayne Sutton have spent a fair amount of time in the weight room. Jordan Moore looks better as well. Sam Hauser, I think the word you would use for Sam Hauser is indispensable. He's an indispensable player. When he doesn't play well, Marquette doesn't win. That's how important he is.
Big brother sits down, little brother checks into the game. They will often play together as well. Darius Perry, who didn't start for the first time this year. Ryan McMahon got the start, but he went to the bench with a couple of early fouls, and now Perry's in there.
Good job by Chartouni to stay in front of Darius Perry when that high ball screen came out.
Malik Williams and his both coaches have gone very deep into their benches here in the opening 6 minutes, and a turnover.
Well, Marquette's defense has been very alert to start this game.
Chartouni with a full head of steam tried to thread the needle between a couple of defenders. Will have a held ball, and the possession arrow will keep it with Marquette.
I think Chartouni would have been better off coming to a jump stop when he made that move and then dropping it off. When he'd be in control, he could fake that pass, go up. He'd have more options.
Marquette and Louisville, 2 programs who were together in Conference USA. We're together in the Big East, so they've got a long storied history against one another, although they haven't met since 2013. Howard stumbling a little bit, and that shot was altered by Malik Williams. Elbow jumper, a little bit strong for Jordan Wara, who's coming off a big game.
Sakar Adams done a nice job on the defensive glass, going after it with 2 hands. He's really stuck his nose in there and has been tough on the glass. And he's not played this season as well in the first few games as he's capable of playing. If they get him playing like this consistently, Marquette immediately takes a jump up. And then when Greg Elliott comes back, gives him another weapon.
Yeah, interesting team. Obviously, Villanova considered the favorite, the defending national champions, although they've lost a lot of guys, 4 starters from last year. St. John's a very intriguing team in the Big East. Nice shot fake by Howard. Can't get the 3 off. Joey Hauser will. And the long rebound down to Annam. Howard. Got it.
Well, isn't it amazing after an offensive rebound how often you get a really good 3-point shot? I'll tell you, Dan, Chartouni's got to start pulling the trigger. He's wide open on some of these shots. I think his teammates expect him to shoot it.
7-0 run now for Marquette. The Cardinals made their first 2 shots, both of them threes, and they're 0 for 8 since. Wara bumped by Howard, and that bucket is going to count.
Well, they called the second foul there. He was fouled right at the start of his drive, and the referees didn't call it. And actually more fortunate for Louisville, he got fouled twice. They called the second one, and this one's an N1. So he got fouled up there and then gets fouled again. And the officials didn't call the first one. They waited till the second one.
Wara 23 points, a career high, and 10 rebounds in the loss to Tennessee on Wednesday. The Cardinals were within 1 point of the Volunteers fairly late into the second half, and then Tennessee went on a 14-0 run to salt it away. And there's a foul that Darius Perry would want to get back.
Well, Jordan Wara also had 8 turnovers in that game, and it was a close game until about midway through the second half. And Rick Barnes threw a little 2-3 zone out there against Louisville, and Louisville threw a 1-3-1 out against Tennessee. A little surprised to see that. I hadn't seen that this year from Louisville and watching their tapes.
Boy, it's the second game, not that this one isn't, but boy, is the second game going to be fun between Kansas and Tennessee. The Jayhawks ranked second, the Vols ranked fifth. Nice turnaround little jump hook from Ed Morrow, a redshirt junior, a transfer from Nebraska.
And a guy who averaged about 9 rebounds as a sophomore, and he hasn't shown that just yet at Marquette. Another guy who's still getting his legs under him, and if he can perform at that level again, keep consistently affecting things, then Marquette's got a real chance.
Darius Perry had to work hard on a number of fronts just to get that shot off, and then he hit it.
He is so quick and athletic.
And for a big guy, so is Stephen Enoch as he comes up with a block. Tied at 11 in the early going here in Brooklyn. Boy, once the season gets going, it gets going, doesn't it? From the champions into Feast Week, and now all of a sudden it's time for the ACC Big Ten Challenge next week. One of the feature games, Indiana, will be at Duke. You and I were just out at Maui, saw the Blue Devils get beaten in a thrilling game by Gonzaga. The Zags winning the tournament 89-87, and Indiana looks like a team with a lot of firepower this year.
Romeo Langford, the freshman, is the real deal. That kid can score. He's unafraid. He can shoot the ball a little bit, and he's really good off the dribble. And I'm not sure what quartet since the Beatles has gotten more coverage than the Duke freshmen, but they have proven to be legit. I mean, for these guys to play at that level at that age, it's really kind of hard to fathom. And they're going to continue to get better, as are a number of these. All these teams that right now are performing at a high level, they're going to continue to get better.
Other games in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Louisville, for example, they will take on Michigan State. Virginia will be at Maryland. North Carolina will be at Michigan. Some really good games coming next week.
Marquette again throwing the ball inside to Theo John. He and Ed Morrow have combined for 6 points, but you're contractually obligated to say what Bill Raftery says when that ball gets caught on the rim. It's called a neck ball, and he would say, "Neck ball. We led the nation in that."
He should have had an incentive clause in his contract for that sort of thing. It goes to the possession arrow in that kind of a situation, and the arrow was pointing in Louisville's favor.
The ball needed to go into Stephen Enoch right away. He was open with a foot in the paint, had to step off to get it.
Enoch with a nice jump hook. Well, he can do a lot of different things, can he?
He is NBA talented. He's got a great shooting touch. He just isn't very old in the game. Started playing late, transferred in from UConn. But he has a lot of ability. As his confidence begins to soar, so will his game. Got to switch now. Good pass inside. John could have taken that along the baseline if he wanted to.
Left hand, a little bit short. And 2 Cardinals knock it out of bounds. Well, we talked about that Duke-Gonzaga game as being one of the big matchups of the young season. The second game that we have tonight will be the 3rd top 5 matchup already this season. Duke over Kentucky and the champions, Gonzaga over Duke and Maui, and Tennessee and Kansas coming up with the championship game here for the NIT season tip-off. For people who don't know what they need to know, Jay, about the Vols, tell us about Rick Barnes' group.
Well, Rick Barnes has a veteran squad that is really tough. Grant Williams Jr., one of the best players in the country, SEC Player of the Year last year. Admiral Schofield could play football, basketball, whatever he wants to play, and he could knock anybody down. But he's a skilled and good player, and they're a tough defensive team. They can really play. Good pass.
Just got Lamonte Turner back from an injury as well, so Tennessee getting healthier. Howard doesn't need much time or much space, but he misses that 3. What a block out there by Jordan Wara. You know when the ball hits the court on a rebound that people are blocking out.
At a high school coach, he used to say a perfect rebound is 5 guys blocking out and the ball bouncing in the middle of the lane. And I go, that never happens. That's not perfect. The perfect one's above the rim. Good move.
Enoch Well, we've seen a three, a couple of inside moves, a block. As you mentioned, spent 2 years at UConn, was a backup there in really a guard-oriented offense before sitting out as a transfer. So he's got this year and next year in Louisville.
Well, Stephen Enoch made a good move there, but Theo John let him get around him to the basket. I mean, he didn't have his dribble, he just pivoted. And you have to stay between your man and the basket, be big, make him make a shot over you.
Hauser with a
good
big
offense and bad defense.
Sorry, Jay. Hauser with a big size advantage on Cunningham. Misses the jumper.
And oftentimes when you have a size advantage inside, that's when you need to power it up. And heck, if you get an offensive foul, fine. 2 guys up top, 2 in the corners. They call that a horn set. Anytime you see that, you're going to hear the word horns.
Good catch in traffic. Great ball movement. Frees up Cunningham for a 3.
Boy, that's the way to move the basketball. Steve Wojciechowski not happy right now with his team.
9-0 run, Louisville.
Well, Stephen Enoch's had a really nice start to this game. You see he faces up, makes a little move inside. Theo John gets caught on the high side, little up and under move. And you can't go for that fake and let him get all the way to the rim with no dribble. And then Enoch again gets the ball inside, essentially gets double teamed. And just a poor decision by Sam Hauser. You cannot leave a corner shooter. Even though you go inside, Hauser was covering up a little bit too, but you cannot leave a corner shooter in college basketball, in any level of basketball now. It's the easiest three-point shot in the game.
Golden Eagles have missed their last 7 shots. They are trailing by 7 right now. Hauser gets it off. Soft touch. That's a tough little 6-footer from the baseline.
Well, he's such a great shooter, not only from distance, but as you said, that's a touch shot. But he can operate in the post. He can face up. He can hit from deep, put it on the deck.
Akoi Agau into the game for the first time for Louisville. And we get a foul going against Ed Morrow. Cardinals made their first 2 shots of the game, which were both 3-pointers, missed 7 in a row. Now they've gotten hot again, so it's been a game of runs here in the first 12 minutes or so for Chris Mack's team. He had a really, really good run at Xavier. Played at Xavier, coached at Xavier, was also on the staff at Wake Forest under the late Skip Prosser, both Xavier and Wake Forest. And in 9 years at Xavier, 8 trips to the NCAA tournament, 4 Sweet 16s, and an Elite 8.
Really preaches toughness in his program. Matt Helt just brought his arm down. He's in decent position, but once somebody Akoi Agau got that close to the basket, it is awfully difficult to get a stop there. You can't let him get that close.
At the line, Akoi Agau, one of the really interesting stories in college basketball. He's turning 24 next week. He started his career at Louisville, then transferred out, had an injury, missed a year, transferred out, played at Georgetown for a couple of years, had some injury problems there with his knee as well. John Thompson III was let go, went on to SMU to get, quote, a fresh start and get some more playing time, and then was granted a 6th year, which is pretty unusual by the NCAA because of all the injuries that he's had, and decided to finish his collegiate career where he started it. So he's the old man of the group. I mean, how often do you see a guy get a 6th year? And almost 24 years of age, but he brings some depth, some maturity, some stability to the front court. Chartouni turns it over.
He's got to be stronger with the ball. Don't know where he was going. You get caught down along the baseline and get some problems down there if you don't keep your dribble.
Wara forces it up and it goes. And Steve Wojciechowski's yelling at one of the officials that should have been a walk on Wara. I think the Louisville bench wanted a foul on Marquette as well.
Marquette trying to establish some rhythm. Louisville switching out on some of the exchanges out top.
Kane bounce pass into Matt Helt in traffic, and Hauser's got a look.
Smart play by Helt. He could have gone up right away, didn't have it, and immediately looked out to Sam Hauser. Again, that guy's leaving corner shooters. I mean, if you give up a challenge 2 in the paint, that's one thing. But you give up a wide open 3, those things kill you.
Well, Louisville with the lead and getting some tough buckets against Marquette. Jordan Nwora coming off that big game against Tennessee. Forces it up and it goes. And as Jay mentioned, this is the wrong guy in the wrong spot to leave open. Still to come tonight, the championship game here with the NIT season tip-off. A couple of guys who know each other very well. Of course, Rick Barnes, a lot of years at Texas, coaching against Bill Self in the Big 12. Now Coach Barnes with a terrific team at Tennessee, an older team, a tough team. And Bill Self has one of the most talented teams in the country. These are two really talented teams, and this figures to be a heck of a basketball game.
Well, Kansas has been one of the great programs in the history of college basketball. And Tennessee, the job that Rick Barnes has done, Rick is a great coach, and the job he's done in a short time at Tennessee to get the Vols into the top 5 is really remarkable. Tennessee was struggling after Donnie Tyndall got fired. There was a real struggle for the Vols, and he turned that program around seemingly in no time.
Nwora bounce pass, Agau surrounded and still finishes.
Able to power that up. And right now Louisville is having some success inside. Stephen Enoch has 7 points, a couple of blocks. Koy Agau is coming off his career high at 11 points against Tennessee.
Hauser at the other end, showing he can hit shots that are inside the arc as well.
He moves without the ball so well, just curling that little screen. And he's always ready to shoot.
Cunningham using the screen, gets inside, shields off the defender, and lays it in.
Well, Marquette trying to ice or side that ball screen to keep it on one side so it doesn't come to the other side of the floor. It was very well negotiated by Louisville.
Good recovery by Agau to get back on a held after the ball screen.
And I'm trying to drive it. You're better off driving it after you reverse it once.
Boy, good hands on a couple of occasions by Darius Perry. Shot clock's at 5. And Hauser draws a foul on Sutton, who is claiming that Hauser's the one who initiated the contact with the forearm.
Well, he did, and he was smart to do that. That was like an NBA move. When you see the arm out, he just went up into it.
Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC, it is a crucial college football game with all kinds of playoff implications. You know who we're talking about. The Irish look for an undefeated season as they take on USC at the Coliseum. And you can always watch it live on the ESPN app from anywhere.
Well, the Trojans are struggling. Good pass inside.
Good defense by Sutton.
Well, Sutton just held his ground. A little surprised that Hauser didn't kind of fade away and go off the glass. He had plenty of space to do that.
Cunningham not this time. Ball's loose and VJ King misses. Man, you talk about a guy being surrounded. 4 Marquette players tying up Stephen Enoch.
That should go Marquette's way.
Well, 4 against 1 doesn't seem fair, does it really?
When they're 4 little guys, not so bad. That should have been finished 3 different times by Louisville.
Look at that.
I think the refs got that one right, huh?
Yeah. It's a good thing it's not the NBA rule with a jump ball, because they wouldn't be able to figure out who should jump it off.
Well, they could jump 4 on 1.
They play rock, paper, scissors till they figure it out.
You know, that's not a bad idea when there's a tie-up.
Just play rock, paper, scissors? Joey Hauser draws the foul on the drive. That'd be great, actually. Wouldn't that be terrific?
You know, we joke around about the alternate possession. It really is a good rule. I mean, the referees don't throw good jump balls anymore. They have to get, these guys are so big, the officials have to get out of there so fast so they don't get hit with an elbow or something when guys are coming down. And it's just a mess. And so they're better off with the alternate possession, but I think the defense should get it. Like, I don't think there should be an arrow. I think the defense should get it when there's a tie-up. The defense should be rewarded with the ball
because they forced the tie-up.
Yeah, it should be essentially a turnover.
Okay, so now you're on the rules committee. What do you do? Like, say a rebound goes up, 2 guys go for it, they come down at the same time. So
what basket did it go to? What basket were they shooting at?
That one.
Then it's the defense. It's not that hard.
Whoever's defending the basket. All right. You know, I know you're still bitter about your jump ball winning percentage in your
career.
My
jump ball winning percentage actually was great, given that I couldn't jump. It was outstanding. I stole a lot of them, but it really was pretty good.
If only this were Maui, I could ask David Robinson about that.
I don't think I beat him.
All right, we'll give you Robinson and Sampson. Tough fadeaway. Man, that's a low percentage shot there by Nwora. So far, Marcus Howard has been kept in check here in the first 15-16 minutes of the game. John, nice job.
See, that's a better move. That's a strong move. More of a drop step to his strong hand, his right hand. That was more of a big-time move by Theo John.
So John's given him 6. Hauser's got 9. Howard has only 3 points tonight. Has only taken 3 shots. Brendan Bailey knocks it away.
A great play by Brendan Bailey to get on the floor. That name sounds familiar. He is Thurl Bailey's son of the Utah Jazz in the NBA, NC State.
Did you beat him in a jump ball?
No, we never had to jump in against each other. That's disturbing on many levels. I'll tell you what, it's hard to turn down. Even when I found out it was Walton who was applying the pressure, it's hard to turn down a massage in Maui. Luann was outstanding before Walton pushed her out of the way and took over.
Wore a nice spin move, and it goes to extend the lead to 5.
Well, he's got a lot of game, Jordan Wara. Just knows how to play. He's a leading rebounder for Louisville as well. He made a commitment. Bad pass.
And a steal by 4. Shovel pass, Wara.
Good job by Quan 4 to get out there and knock that ball away and take it the other way. I always wonder why guys pick a jersey number. Why do you think Quan 4 picked number 4?
Yeah, let me ruminate on that for a little bit, see if anything comes to me.
Just questions that you come up with that don't seem to have an answer.
A 3 for Brendan Bailey. The 6'8 freshman out of Salt Lake City made his first shot of the season and then made only 1 of his next 15, but he looked pretty good on that one.
He's going to be good. Watched today at practice, watched him shoot. I noted and wrote down in my notes that he's got a really good stroke, and then he confirms that by knocking down that corner jumper.
Malik Williams, a big guy who's more comfortable on the perimeter, misses the 3, and he's going over his stroke, frustrated with himself.
Louisville trying to get out in passing lanes, even though this is not more of a denial team. This is a pack line defensive team, which means they're going to get in gaps. It doesn't mean they can't shoot the gap and get a steal from time to time. I think a lot of people associate now the pack line defense with the way Virginia plays. And Virginia doesn't get as many steals as Louisville does. It's just Louisville's different than they used to be under Rick Pitino. They are not out gambling as much because they don't have as many shot blockers. Just a little bit of a different philosophy, but equally as effective. I really like the way Chris Mack's teams play. And when he was at Xavier, I mean, that was they personified toughness at both ends of the floor.
Do we have to wonder why Coach Mack, who coaches Louisville, is wearing an orange tie instead of a red tie?
We didn't ask him, but because he wasn't wearing the tie when we went back to see him before the game. But I'll tell you what I think it is. You know how when coaches, when they don't think their team's very well, they take away their practice gear and they tell them, you're not worthy. When maybe he didn't like the way he coached in practice the other day and said, you know, I'm just not worthy of red.
Right.
Until I prove myself. Maybe that's it.
And he threw all of his own gear out of his own office. And
yeah. No chair. Yes. He took his chair out.
2-point lead for the Cardinals with 2.5 to go here in the first half. If you're Steve Wojciechowski, meanwhile, as that bucket goes in, now you're down 4. But Marcus Howard only has 3 points, has only taken 3 shots. It's not like he's shooting poorly. They're not giving him any room. What are they doing so well? And now Howard tries to force one on the inside. What are they doing so well to prevent Howard from getting open low?
They are helping on him. They're switching and they're keeping a hand up all the time. Then when he gives it up, you know, for the most part, they're not letting him get it back in a scoring area. And then they haven't given up much in transition. I think Louisville's done a really nice job of not only going after offensive rebounds, but then getting back and fanning out to shooters. I mean, the two guys you always have to cut the head off the snake, and that is the point guard, and that's Marcus, in this case, Marcus Howard. And they've done a really nice job. Boy, 1 red shirt and 4 white shirts, and the red shirt came away with the ball.
Let's take a look at the last possession for Marquette to illustrate what Mr. Billis was talking about and all the attention that Howard is getting.
Gives it up, then switches off, and Dwayne Sutton takes him. Then Malik Williams comes over to block the shot. You know, they just have an awareness for where he is all the time, because he's the guy of all the guys on this floor. One of them has made 11 threes in a game twice in his career, and it's Marcus Howard. One of them's had 52 points in a game on the road in college. It's Marcus Howard. You got to know where he is all the time. If Theo John beats you, you can live with that. Theo John's a good player, but he's not going to put up 52 on you.
And now Chartouni back in to take Howard off the ball a little bit. Maybe they can free him up a little bit more easily. Turnaround, Sam Hauser, no. Look at the rebound by Bailey. Great effort. And now we might have one official overruled. And he did point the wrong way. Just made a mistake. And it goes over to Louisville. That was a terrific effort by Bailey. Unfortunately, they don't keep the ball.
Well, he's had some good minutes in this game. Nobody blocks out. And Malik Williams just turned to rebound instead of looking behind to see if anybody could lay a body on.
Louisville 3-1 in the season. The loss to Tennessee on Wednesday. Marquette 3-2. The losses to Kansas on Wednesday. And then got blown out in Bloomington by Indiana. Lost by 23 points a couple of weeks ago. Joey Hauser falling out of bounds, turns it over and gets posterized by VJ King.
Well, Joey Hauser falling out of bounds, lost his balance and decided to try to get it back to a teammate right under the opponent's basket. Not a good idea, but how about that dunk by VJ King?
Wide open Sam Hauser, and Marquette will gladly trade loud twos for your basic three.
Yeah, Steve Wojciechowski would probably say, I don't think that's the choice. but you just said 4 words that Chris Mack should say. I should never hear that during the course of a broadcast. A wide open Sam Hauser.
Right.
How does he get wide open?
Nothing good comes from that for the opposition. He's as dangerous as Howard is.
Good job by Marcus Howard to get above that screen, get over it.
Forces Cunningham into a tough turnaround. And they're on the offensive glass again. Williams draws the foul and will head to the free throw line.
Well, Marquette just down 1 possession, could go to 2 with these free throws. See, that's a freshman mistake. You're better off falling out of bounds rather than throw the ball back in underneath your basket or pass it to the guy right next to you. But Sam Hauser coming down in transition. Chartouni got it to him coming up from the baseline, it seemed like. And boy, when that guy can set his feet and has a clean look at the basket, that's like a layup for any other player.
Malik Williams, 6'11" sophomore out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the line now for Louisville. A guy with a lot of perimeter skills, as we mentioned earlier. They're trying to get him a little bit more comfortable down on the block as well. There's not a lot of depth on the inside for Louisville. They've got Enoch, they've got Williams, and they've got Okoye Gow.
Fort Wayne is the home of Johnny Appleseed. No reaction, huh?
No. Was there more?
Boy, nice job by Darius Perry to keep the ball from going into Marcus Howard.
Chartouni's got time. And it's the side of the backboard to bring the first half to a close here in Brooklyn. A couple of teams trying to avoid going home from this holiday tournament 0-2, and the Louisville bench, which has been good much of the season, very good again tonight. And they have held Marcus Howard in check, and the Cardinals have a 5-point lead on the Golden Eagles. Let's send it back to the studio again. Kevin Connors is with Seth Greenberg and Chris Spatola. And we're here at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, the home of the Nets, who, by the way, had a game this afternoon, lost to the T-Wolves. Great job by the folks who work here at this building to get this the arena ready for the college games tonight. New floor, new announcers, new everything here. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis. Got a close one between Marquette and Louisville. Chris Mack's got to be really happy with the defense of the first half, especially on Marcus Howard.
They did a great job having an awareness for where Marcus Howard was at all times, especially in transition. You know, Marcus Howard averages just under 20 points per game, and a guy who has had 52 in a game. And they did a terrific job of, at times, denying him the ball, but oftentimes switching off on him, making it really difficult for him to get open looks at the basket. And Louisville just got into the paint more than Marquette did. And Marquette has a saying, protect our paint. When they're protecting their basket, they say our paint. And I think Steve Wojciechowski would say to his team, we didn't do as good a job of that as we needed to. But yet, even with Marcus Howard not scoring, with Louisville getting into the paint, they're only down, Marquette is, 2 possessions to start the second half.
They take a ton of threes generally. They shot a good percentage from three-point range, as you can see, 4 for 7, but taking only 7 is a very low total for Marquette in a half of basketball.
Well, Marquette turning the ball over. Sam Hauser on a little shuffle cut was wide open at the beginning, but Jamal Cain didn't get him the ball right away. He waited and then wound up taking a dribble baseline to the wrong angle and throwing that thing away. And not the start that Marquette wanted. Watch, Hauser's wide open right there. I mean, he should have got the ball right away, but you take one dribble to the baseline and throw it at an angle that will not feed the post, and that's what led to that turnover.
And Steve Wojciechowski unhappy with Jamal Cain, who puts him on the bench and to bring Sakar Annam in just 30 seconds into the half. Nice feed inside. Enoch a little bit strong, though.
A good post up and really good feed out of the high-low. And that's how you get the ball inside. Enoch just didn't finish it.
Joey Hauser for 3. And a long rebound down to Ryan McMahon.
And numbers.
Got to stay out deep onto McMahon. He's got serious range. Another good post up by Enoch, but he left it short. One a little long, one a little short. Looked at the official on his way back down the court as if implying there should have been a foul call.
That ball never should have gone in there. Where he got a switch and got Cunningham on John.
Annam got an elbow or forearm up in the face of McMahon, and he gets called for the foul. And wondering if they may have a look at this. Oftentimes when a guy gets hit up above the shoulders, they have a look to see if it warrants a flagrant, and they are going to have a look at it.
I'll tell you what, when Theo John got that switch, he should have gone right into the paint. You know what? There's an increased sensitivity to any blow to the head, even though that looks like if your arms are more up than out, but that looks like it looked like it was more purposeful to get McMahon off him. My sense is that's going to be a flagrant one.
Sometimes they'll say, hey, it's just a basketball play. We'll just leave it at the common foul. But I agree with you. I think this one could easily be upgraded.
Now, what the rule states is, or at least the interpretation, when the arms are more up than they are out. But see, as that left arm comes through, that looked more purposeful than just a basketball play. Not purposeful to hurt somebody, but just get the defender off you. And because of the sensitivity to anything around the head and the concussion issue and the like, I think this is going to be a flagrant 1. I don't think it rises to the level of flagrant 2. But because that's an issue of severity. And this is just because of the contact of the head. My sense is that this is going to be a flagrant 1. And it's not really, I don't think to the officials it's open to debate. They once they see that, I think flagrant 1 is what they'll come out with.
And the difference is if it's just an offensive foul, it's just the ball for Louisville. If it's a flagrant 1, it's 2 shots and then the ball for Louisville.
Exactly. 2 shots on the ball. And flagrant 2 means ejection.
Right. I agree with you. I don't think it warrants an ejection.
No, I don't either. But they're spending this much time. The 3 of them are talking about it. They're going to go flagrant 1. They usually don't have a powwow to say, basketball play, let's move on.
Lamar Simpson, Tony Chiazza, and H.A. Desai, the officials tonight here in the first game in Brooklyn.
And again, you know, when you see these replays and how long it takes, this is not on the officials. This is the rule. So they have to do this. If you want to get on anybody, get on the rules committee. And there's been a lot of talk about replay in every different sport. And Dan, you and I have talked about this. I had somebody tell me recently they talked to some folks in other sports and said, don't let replay go any further because you'll never get it back.
No, it's not. We're taking it away. Oh, you're taking it away, so it's not a foul at all. Right. Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. Well, we
were wrong there.
Way off. Not only is it not a flagrant 1,
not a foul at all.
They have taken the common foul away, and they're giving the ball back to Marquette. So in effect, they're saying no call, no foul of any kind.
Never seen that before.
So the ruling must be that they felt that McMahon was in the cylinder, in the space of Annam, and that Annam had no option but to make contact.
I mean, that's stunning. I've never seen that in the games I've done. That's really interesting. But a break for Marquette, because that could have not only been loss of possession, that could have been, like Steve Wojciechowski say, well, then it had to be a foul on the defense. Like, how could it be nothing?
So, in effect, it's no call, and there are 18 seconds on the shot clock, which is what there were on the clock when they blew the whistle.
But if the defender was in the cylinder and there was contact there, I mean, Wojo makes a fair point, is that why wasn't a foul called on the defense? That's really a weird situation. I'm very surprised at that outcome.
Yeah, and we were told there are 4 options. So we were talking about, is it a common foul, a flagrant 1, a flagrant 2, which we didn't think it was. The 4th option is
probably take the foul away altogether.
Yeah. And there you can see when they go to the monitor and have a look what the different options are. Ryan McMahon knocks it down.
And McMahon responds with a pretty darn good post move for a little guy.
Which is not what you expect from Ryan McMahon. He's most comfortable about 22 feet away from the basket.
Yeah, you want him to take a tough 2. Good split.
Howard gives it off to Hauser. And he got a good stroke.
Boy, that was so pretty.
And Howard, with the exception, Jay, maybe of that one drive, the shots aren't there for him tonight. He's not really forcing the issue, though. He's still letting it come to him.
Well, that was a great play to get in the lane and then find Sam Hauser. Dwayne Sutton came off him. You really can't leave Hauser at all. You'd rather have Marcus Howard take that tough 2 in the lane than let Sam Hauser get a step-in 3 all by himself.
Howard inside this time with a soft touch.
Boy, just making that one play seems to have energized Marcus Howard a little bit. And being down 7, now a stop, 2 scores, and a stop in between.
And Marquette back within 2. Don't forget Kansas and Tennessee still to come. Top 5 matchup in the championship game here with the NIT season tip-off. Foul on Theo John.
Just need to be a little more disciplined there. See the ball screen defense. He was able to split it and immediately looked out. Dwayne Sutton just came off, and he's really in no man's land. I mean, where's he gonna help there? And the nice little hesitation move, and then Enoch had to back off. That hesitation move just caused him to back off. Then he got that little floater in the lane.
Enoch at the line now for Louisville.
He's really got a nice shooting stroke, especially for a big guy.
Rick Barnes, the head coach of the Volunteers, warming up for the big game tonight against Kansas with a pregame interview for their radio network.
Wonder what color his tie will be. Maybe Chris Mack stole his tie.
Well, if he comes out in a red tie, then we'll have no understanding of anything that's going on.
Then we've got an issue.
Yes. What would you do? You're Louisville, and Sam Hauser is Sam Hauser. You tell the guy who's guarding him.
Don't leave him.
Yeah, just don't help off him under any circumstance.
Do not leave him under any circumstance, because what are you giving up when you leave? Like, you're giving up an open 3 when you leave him. And what are you giving Marquette? You're probably giving Marquette a tough 2. And I would trade that tough 2 for an open 3, because an open 3 for Hauser is in. It is in.
That pass deflected. John was open underneath. And now we got a foul.
It was just a weak pass by Marcus Howard. I mean, that thing was shoulder high for a 5'10" guy. And that's not going to make it through those trees. You just have to be a little bit smarter with that. Coming off the ball screen, good job by Malik Williams. And watch how low that pass is. I mean, it's just easily deflected.
Yeah, Malik Williams did a good job running back with his arms extended to deflect that pass. As John goes out, Chartouni comes in. So Marquette goes smaller, and Howard slides off the ball.
Really, for both teams, the key is to be aggressive offensively. And Louisville, for the most part, they have been aggressive going after the ball. They've been aggressive in rebounding. And they've been aggressive in attacking when they've had numbers.
You know, preseason, for what it's worth, in the ACC poll, they were picked 11th in the ACC. So they, at least by the voting of those who cover the conference, the expectation's kind of low for this Louisville team. 3rd coach in as many years, but they do have a lot of guys back. They got a lot of good players. And Chris Mack right now, Jay, according to a lot of recruiting experts, Paul Biancardi and others, they've got the #1 class in the country coming in next year. 6 players, as Hauser gets an easy putback. Too easy if you're Chris Mack. 5 players in the top 100, but none of them are like top 5, top 10 considered one and done kind of guys.
Well, you expect to keep those players for a while, but you know, in this day and age, you never know. A guy gets better, he could go.
But I think Louisville fans have to be thrilled to see that Mack, you know, that the scandal appears to be behind them, and they're starting to put things back together at Louisville. The Kansas Jayhawks are in the building. Tennessee looking for their first win against a top 2 team since 2010. And look at that bottom stat. Think about that for a second. Kansas looking for its 14th consecutive win against a top 10 ranked team. Now, you know, they could be 1, the opponent could be 10, they could be 10, the opponent could be 1, but whatever the case is, it's a pretty impressive stat.
Boy, really good job by Marcus Howard to attack the switch. Got a switch in a little ball screen slip situation and attacked it right to the bucket. And then Jordan Mora goaltended. The ball hit the backboard before he got a piece of it. It looks like that Howard is getting a little bit more aggressive and looking to call his own number.
You know, Jay, maybe just while we have a moment, the officials came over during the break and talked to us a little bit about the call, the offensive foul that came off the board, and their interpretation of the play was that the defender, Ryan McMahon, was in the cylinder of the offensive player, so that it was not the offensive player's fault for making contact with McMahon. That's why they took the offensive foul away. By rule, they cannot assess a defensive foul on that play. They can take the foul away, leave it as a common foul, make it a flagrant 1, make it a flagrant 2. But they felt it was, for lack of a better term, a cylinder violation, and that's why they took it away from the Marquette player.
The thing that's interesting is when you're right under the basket, there's never a time you're not going to be in the cylinder. I mean, it's your body to body in there. I mean, the cylinder really is you wind up seeing it called on the perimeter or away for great up and under move.
Darius Perry.
Boy, that's a little guy inside that's making that move. Didn't panic, kept his poise. Jordan Mora's got to stay right now with Marcus Howard. He switched off on him, and that's a situation where you can't help.
Steve Wojciechowski will use a timeout. The Golden Eagles deficit is now 7. Tuesday night, one of the fun events of the college basketball calendar, the ACC Big Ten Challenge. A little bit earlier, right before the Indiana-Duke game, it'll be these Louisville Cardinals hosting Michigan State in what should be a great game. Michigan State roughed up UCLA last night. They're leading Texas tonight in their second game in as many nights out at Vegas. And then a sonic blockbuster as the Indiana Hoosiers, Romeo Langford, one of the really talented freshmen in the country. The Hoosiers go to Cameron to take on the Blue Devils.
Romeo Langford, a terrific player for Indiana and a really nice addition in the grad transfer market. Evan Fitzner from St. Mary's, great pass underneath. Boy, good. That was a good play call out of the timeout for Marquette to get a basket.
Tomorrow, the assist to Marcus Howard. Perry turns the corner.
Boy, how easy was that? Just missed a layup. Louisville's just getting into the paint so easily. Good pass.
Morrow has to give it up to Chartouni to keep it in bounds. Wide open look for Annam is short.
Not sure Sakar Annam was the guy that they wanted shooting that ball. Morrow did a good job of making that catch. Louisville trying to lift up this Marquette defense. You have anybody in the low post. They really got into kind of a 2-3 set, and that way makes it a little bit easier to cut. Ed Morrow, the transfer from Nebraska, setting this ball screen out top. Now look how spread the floor is, because you're not going to come off too far off of Howard. I mean, you had Dwayne Sutton trying to help off, but Malik Williams just doesn't get back in time. And Darius Perry could have come over from the opposite corner, but you just don't want to leave Sam Hauser. And you'd rather give up that 2 than give up an open 3 to Hauser. It's a tough decision, but a decision that was the right one.
Wara misses the 3. Agau with a nice offensive rebound in traffic. And then turns it over to Howard. Got the switch. Yep.
Well, you can't pick up your dribble there. He should have dribbled right around Okoye Agau.
Play coming in from the bench from Coach Wojciechowski right now. And here's Chartouni as Howard moves off the ball again.
Same side with Hauser.
Driving, left-handed layup, too strong. Howard pleading for a foul.
Probably a little frustrated when you score as often as Marcus Howard does. When you haven't been able to get a rhythm, it can get frustrating.
I think the most remarkable thing is in 26 minutes he's only attempted 2 3-point shots. They've been crowding him. They've been running him off the line.
It's just a really well executed game plan on Marcus Howard by Louisville. Chris Mack is basically saying somebody else beat me because I am not going to let Marcus Howard do it.
Perry. And we have a foul underneath the bucket going against Marquette. From the look on Sam Hauser's face, it looks like he thinks it's on him, and it is.
Louisville just stronger on the glass. It's not like they're dominating the glass, but they've had so many opportunities. And you see Hauser going low while his counterpart jumped.
Cunningham back in. He and Four both in the backcourt together right now. King. Gau's got it, kicks it out. Cunningham with an open three.
Terrific extra pass by Four after it was kicked out. It's that one extra pass, and oftentimes say the extra pass. That was the right pass.
He made one of those in the first half to set up a teammate for a three. That's 3 assists now in the game for Four. As Gau is called for a foul out on the perimeter. 8-point lead for Louisville. 11:43 to go here in the second half. And the old man, 24 next week. Keeping up with the Young Bucks, getting the rebound on the extra pass. Leads to a three. Well, a belated happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you're having a great holiday time with the family and friends. There's Luke Murray, one of the assistant coaches for Louisville. Came with Chris Mack from Xavier. And his dad is a pretty famous guy in his own right. Really one of the legendary comedians of our time. And there's Bill Murray, who was a Xavier fan until this year. Now he's a Louisville fan. He travels a lot to games.
Yeah, with son and assistant coach, you get good tickets, so he's got that going for him, which is nice.
Chartouni. Morrow with 4 on the clock. Reverse is good. Nicely done.
What a pretty play to get the ball inside. And Marquette really needs to get some production outside of Sam Hauser. And obviously they normally get great production out of Marcus Howard, but he's been taken out of this game in large measure by the defense of Louisville. But there've got to be other guys that step forward. Getting Greg Elliott back is going to be a big part of that.
It looks like they have the makings of a nice combo inside as Cunningham knocks down a jumper. I mean, if Morrow can do what he did at Nebraska, and with Theo John as well, that's a pretty good combination inside as Howard gets just a glimmer of space and knocks it down.
Well, he really went after that shot. After the ball went through the net, Marquette got it in quickly, and just shows how alert you have to be to him at all times. There's never a time you can take a rest on Marcus Howard. Doesn't matter who has to pick him up. Somebody has to.
As Howard now called for the foul. And remember, Marquette, even if they're down a fair bit with their ability to shoot the three, they can get back in the ball game in a hurry.
Yeah, and there's a long way to go in this one. 10:31 left in regulation. And it's just a 2-possession game. And really the difference in the game is the number of times that Louisville has been able to get the ball in the paint and get extra possessions, whether it's been an offensive rebound. They've had a couple. This hasn't been a high turnover game, but Louisville's been able to force a couple turnovers where they took it the other way and got a bucket. Or that, when Joey Hauser threw the ball away right under the basket and B.J. King got that dunk. That's the difference in the game. A couple of those quote-unquote little plays.
Four driving on Chartouni, no. And Morrow rips it down.
Now that looks more like Ed Morrow than the guy we've seen in the early games here. That's the Nebraska Ed Morrow. Good fake.
Morrow guarded by Enoch. Goes around him, but too strong. Follow no good, and it's Louisville ball.
Adam looked like he got hit.
Adam got knocked down and is late getting back into the play. Can Louisville take advantage? King tried, but missed the shot.
Steve Wojciechowski calling the play out. Chartouni taking the ball in the backcourt. That allows Howard to work without the ball. Got a switch.
And the pass deflected and deflected again, and it stays with Marquette.
That's one of the problems with a small guard, is seeing over. It's like having a small quarterback and trying to throw the ball over the defensive line. It's going to get deflected every once in a while.
Joey Hauser back in as Marquette gets bigger, so they're now 6'8", 6'8", 6'9" on the front line. But again, both the Hausers just as comfortable on the perimeter, maybe even more so.
Well, you can't let that ball go to the opposite corner.
Shot clock at 5. Sam Hauser. And down to the Cardinals.
It's not the kind of shot that Marquette wanted. That challenge 3.
Again, they're great events, but they can be a tough event. The caliber of basketball, the caliber of opposition is so high. You want to go and get these great games in the early going, but you might go home 0-2. Whoever loses this game is going home winless. Wara step back. Yes. Nicely done by Jordan Wara with a long 2.
Well, he's gifted. He didn't start against Tennessee, but he is a player that can score in a variety of ways.
Coming off the bench, averaging 19 points per game. Joey Hauser to Sam Hauser. Little brother the assist, big brother the bucket.
Well, that's a little bit of old Louisville, where they gambled when they missed it. There wasn't the rotation. All of a sudden, Sam Hauser wide open in the corner. You know, we talked about him being a guy that you can't leave. But they're more a position defensive team now. When you're playing a position, you know, and somebody gambles, you're maybe reluctant to leave the good positioning that you had.
Enoch gave it up in the post, got it back beyond the arc, and then missed the 3.
Good pass.
Morrow crosses over, missed it. And Wara, though, is called for the foul.
Boy, if Morrow's a little bit tougher, goes up a little bit stronger, that's a 3-point play.
Couple of recent buckets. Jordan Wara having another good offensive game for Louisville, making this tough step back 3. And then the Hauser brothers collaborating on a bucket for the Golden Eagles. Back in Brooklyn, Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, Louisville, Marquette. Louisville with the lead, but should have one more point than they do. This shot was ruled a 2 for Jordan Wara.
That's hard to believe. I mean, you had 2 officials looking at it, and there's no question. I mean, it's not even close. That's an unfortunate outcome for Louisville. And there was nobody to flag it to an official to even go look at it. But I was ruled a 2, and I mean, that is not even close. It was so far behind the line, you don't even have to zoom in on it to show his feet.
And sometimes officials, if they're unsure, they'll point to the scorer's table, which means we'll take a look at it at the next media timeout, so they don't waste too much time with replay to see if it's a 2 or a 3. But none of the 3 officials, obviously everybody was in agreement that that was a 2, so that's cost Louisville a point.
And there's no alternate official on the sidelines, which sometimes there are, like in an NCAA tournament game, or sometimes in tournaments like this, there'll be an alternate official that's for the next game is sitting there that has a monitor. So there was nobody there to alert the officials that, hey, you know, we missed this one.
Marquette back within 2, a long way to go here in this one. McMahon launches, and John rips down the rebound.
The last several possessions, Marquette has been a little tougher on the defensive end, limiting Louisville to 1 challenge shot.
Well, I would think if you play for a coach who was the National Defensive Player of the Year one of his years at Duke, you better play good defense. But this is a team that did not play good defense last year and has really made that a priority in the offseason, the summer and the fall practice, to be better this year as the freshman Joey Hauser ties the game.
A poised move by Hauser. You thought he might take that all the way and put it in with his left, but just spun around for a short little jumper in the lane. And you mentioned the defense. I do think that this team will get better, this Marquette team, as soon as Greg Elliott's back. And that's a big loss for them early on the season.
John knocks it away, and Marquette's got the ball and a chance to take the lead.
That was a good idea by McMahon, but that's just a tough angle from which to feed the post. You want to get it to more toward the side if you're going to throw a little bounce pass in there.
Last lead for Marquette was 11-9 until now.
That is just beautiful pick and roll basketball. Beautiful little pocket pass, and Chris Mack wants to talk it over. But Marquette has just hung in there when not a lot has been going the Golden Eagles' way. And even though it was a two-possession game for most of the game, it felt like Louisville was in control. And just, Stephen Enoch just overcommitted on that hard hedge. You got to stay shoulder to shoulder with Cunningham, with Kristen Cunningham there. Cunningham's quietly had a really nice game. And that's the way that Steve Wojciechowski and his staff want Theo John to take the ball to the basket. Who's going to take a charge on that guy when he goes hard?
And that guy on the right was the injured player you were talking about a little bit earlier, Greg Elliott. You also said they need guys other than Hauser and Howard. They need interior scoring. Morrow's got 8 points tonight. John has 8 points tonight.
Yeah, and I think just having players, and this goes for Louisville too. Louisville's got good players. These guys were highly recruited. It's just they've got a completely new system that Chris Mack and his staff are trying to put in. It's going to take them time to completely figure it out, but they will. And Louisville's got good personnel, and they'll continue to get better. But it's not selfish to look to score. It's selfish to take bad shots, but it is not selfish to look to score. You want to look to score on every play. When you cut, you want to cut hard and make it a scoring cut. You may not get the ball. The play may not be for you, but something you do can open up a teammate. And I think that's what Marquette and Louisville are both looking for with their 5 guys they put on the floor.
Chartouni called for the foul. He gives the official a thumbs up, saying, yeah, you got that one right. Now the Feast Week event, let's check out the Advocare Invitational bracket. Villanova beating Oklahoma State today. Florida State needed overtime to take out LSU, and that sets up a really interesting championship game tomorrow, 1 o'clock on ESPN.
I think Villanova against Oklahoma State put up like 39 threes. What a pass.
Wara finds a cutting McMahon.
Just not enough pressure on the elbow to get Jordan Wara discouraged from throwing that pass. That was beautifully executed.
And that snaps a 9-0 Marquette run. Howard, no. Tit, no. John working hard, comes down with it. And goes back up with it.
John will get the foul there. He got hit a little bit going up, not enough to draw a foul. But Marcus Howard really did a nice job of attacking the switch. Just couldn't get the shot to go down, nor could Theo John. Watch Jordan Wara here when he gets the ball. Little cut across, and then a nice little cut right around the elbow by McMahon. And Wara just didn't have enough pressure on him. He was able to see and just thread that needle. That was beautifully executed.
Jay's 7th team foul committed by Marquette. So bonus now for Louisville. And as you can see, Louisville's only committed 3 fouls more than 14 minutes into the second half. Around and out, and Marquette ball again with a chance to take the lead.
Every time there's an exchange, they're switching out on Marcus Howard. They're not going to let him breathe.
Joey Hauser driving, and a foul on Darius Perry.
Joey Hauser knew he's bigger, knew he may be a little bit stronger, and went right into Perry and was going to take him all the way to the rim and force him to stop him.
And now a little more bulk in, some length, and Williams sits down. Some bulk in a Gow comes into the game.
I would put Okoye Gow into as many ball screens as I could if I was Marquette. Make him guard out on the perimeter and see if you can get him in a switch and then drive him.
Who's the go-to guy for a bucket if you're Louisville? Is it at this point? Is it Wara?
Yeah, usually it's going to be Wara, but you've identified the issue there, and that's, does Louisville have somebody you can throw the ball to get a bucket?
Gow's going to try. John knocks it away. Still Cardinals ball. Wara tries it on a drive and draws the foul.
It's not that running their offense. They've got guys that can score, but do you have somebody that you can put the ball in his hands and he can go get you one? And not every team has that. But Wara is the most likely to be that guy.
So Wara to the line out of Buffalo, New York, and he played FIBA basketball for Nigeria this past summer in the FIBA Africa's qualifiers. All these countries from all around the world are trying to qualify for the World Championship next year in China. So we talk about guys who, won this or that at the under 18, under 19, and that's fantastic stuff. But Wara, this is not age group basketball. This is open basketball, playing for Nigeria against grown men from other countries in Africa trying to qualify for the World Championship and eventually the Olympics.
And you can see the growth in Wara just from last year to this. His coaches let good pass. Boy, that's beautiful. Terrific roll to the basket, and he was big when he did it. Theo John. A lot of guys can roll to the basket and seem awfully small because they don't really want it. But Theo John rolled hard to the basket, was a presence down there.
And Marcus Howard picks up his 5th assist of the night, and they've been pretty. John helps, and that leaves Agau open, and a chance for 3 for Akoy Agau. Boy, and Agau is giving it to his teammates right now, taking a leadership role as the elder statesman on this team.
Now watch Theo John. It's really a slip of the screen. Nobody picked him up. And Wara needed to step in and hit him a little bit higher and bump him.
When, as you've talked about, what Agau's saying is, hey, on this screen and roll, I'm helping
protect the rim.
Yeah, ball screen defense is a 5-man job, not a 2-man.
Get in there and protect the rim. That's exactly what he's saying.
And he did not say it subtly or quietly either.
Well, if you're in the middle of a fire, you don't say, hey, excuse me, there's a fire over there. You yell, fire! Hey, excuse me.
Yes.
I smell smoke. I think there may be a fire. So fire!
Let's see if Marquette tries to put Agau on a ball screen again. And Agau is barking as he gets back on defense.
That's what every team needs, is big guys that talk, because they're like linebackers behind the line.
There's the ball screen. Howard goes the other way. Another ball screen. Now Wara helps out, gets in front of John. The ball, errant pass bounces to John. Better defensive set there by Louisville.
Well, you'd like to see when John gets it that deep, take that thing up. He is such a powerful player.
A lot of dribbling by Perry. Open McMahon, but we got an offensive foul. After giving up the ball, Perry ran over Annam. 3:44 to go, going down into the final minutes here between Louisville and Marquette. This is the third place game here with the NIT season tip-off. Louisville and Marquette going right down to the wire. The championship game is still to come, and it is a top 5 matchup between Rick Barnes' Tennessee Volunteers, Bill Self's Kansas Jayhawks. Tennessee known for its toughness. Grant Williams, the reigning SEC Player of the Year. Kansas with Azubuike on the inside. A couple of very talented freshman guards in Dotson and Grimes. Jay, there's a lot to look forward to in this second game.
That has a chance to be a great basketball game. And I think Bill Self is looking forward to seeing just how tough his team is. He knows he's going against a veteran team in Tennessee, and his team much younger.
Joey Hauser inside Ed Morrow, and a foul called on Malik Williams.
It's just the 6th team foul, so Marquette will be taking the ball out of bounds underneath.
Next one would put him on the line. 3:29 to go, and Howard to inbound for the Golden Eagles. Morrow wanted the handoff, but Four not letting Howard get the ball back. So Morrow goes up, misses it, and Williams comes down with a rebound.
Well, those are plays that you expect to be finished inside. Those are plays that I think Ed Morrow will finish as the season goes along. Got the ball deep in the paint. Marquette's fought back in paint points. They were down big, but fought back to a decent number. I think they have 22 total.
Cunningham very steady at the point tonight, hasn't he been?
He's had a really good game. No turnovers, 10 points.
Tough shot, and it goes.
Boy, with the left hand, and wound up on his back as the ball went through the net. That was a big bucket for Louisville.
I'll tell you, we didn't see a lot of Sanford do any of their games last year, but they must have had a pretty good backcourt with Cunningham and Coleman.
No question. Justin Coleman at Arizona's done a great job. Got the switch and took on, spun right around Morrow. Doesn't get any help because Hauser's trying to block out. I think Bill Murray liked that.
9-2 run Louisville to go up by 5. 7th team foul committed by the Cardinals sends almost an automatic guy, or a guy who is almost automatic, to the line right now with a Marcus Howard as Wara checks back in.
Yeah, his first year, I mean, it's extremely rare you see a guy that's 50, 40, 90. That shoots 50% from the field, over 40% from three-point range, over 90% from the free throw line. It is exceedingly rare. Yet Marcus Howard was one of those guys. I mean, he's got a career 46% three-point shooting percentage. And Sam Hauser's right with him.
Yep. Knocks them both down. 3-point game. 2:43 to go.
Right now it's about half-court execution. Neither team's gotten much in transition.
They play on. Williams inside. Hauser got a piece.
Wow, what a block. Looked like he might get the foul down low. Had his arm wrapped around him before he went up.
Joey Hauser with a block. Back comes Marquette. This would tie it. It will not. And then a foul on Joey Hauser.
And that'll be 2 free throws for Wara on the other end. Why you don't want to foul 90 feet from the basket. Louisville gets to walk down to the other end and score with no defense.
And a good free throw shooter going to the line in Jordan Wara. 83% on the season coming into the game tonight, and 3 for 3 at the line in this game. Catch SportsCenter later on tonight on ESPN after Oklahoma and West Virginia finish their football game with Abuchi and Anderson. They'll have the latest from Alabama and Auburn on the eve of the Iron Bowl. Plus, a look at Michigan and Ohio State. And a complete recap of Tiger versus Phil. A lot of college hoop feast week action as well. SportsCenter later tonight on ESPN and the ESPN app.
You know, speaking of Tiger and Phil, John Buccigross is quite a golfer.
Oh, have you played with him?
I have played golf with him on multiple occasions. And actually, he was my roommate on a golf trip. And he irons his golf shorts before he goes out to play, which is quite disturbing in a number of ways. Yeah. But do you know where he went to college?
I did, but I've forgotten. Where is it?
Heidelberg.
Which is in?
Heidelberg.
Oh, that Heidelberg.
I think it's in the United States.
Yeah. Was he on the golf team at Heidelberg?
I hope so. Yeah. He's got a Heidelberg golf bag, but who knows? He could have pooched that off a local player around Heidelberg. But he is an excellent golfer, which he will take the time to tell you about if you're ever with him.
Which one of you has lightened the wallet of the other over the years?
We've actually been teammates in the events we've played in.
We are told that Heidelberg is in Tiffin, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Home of Johnny Appleseed.
No. He's from a different
that's
place.
Fort Wayne.
I'm sorry. And Howard back of the line. Again, this is the least desirable situation if you're Louisville, is putting Marcus Howard on the free throw line.
That's like an intentional walk. You know, you just give him the 2 points. Let's move on.
2 minutes to go.
Got a horn set up top.
To shoot. Cunningham needs a ball screen. He gets it. Can't turn the corner on John. It's at 2. Forced it up, didn't hit it, and it's Marquette ball.
Boy, that was a nice job by Theo John to keep Cunningham in front and to do so without fouling him, because that would have put him on the line for 2.
Joey Hauser gets inside, rejected by a gal. It looked like Joey Hauser might have had a little running hook there, tried to get closer to the basket, and it wound up leaning right into the defense. And a minute 17 to go with a timeout on the floor.
Oftentimes out of a timeout, Chris Mack may look to go high-low. So wouldn't be surprised after this they try something that may get the ball in the paint.
You know, interesting. Enoch is the starter at center for Louisville. Then Malik Williams is the first big off the bench. But right now at crunch time, Chris Mack is going with Okoye Gal.
Well, he's the most experienced, and he has done a good job. He's protected the basket.
Yep.
He's been aggressive trying to post up inside. Closing out, and Hauser's able to get past him. But you're right, just going right into Dwayne Sutton. He would have been better just get all the way to the rim off 1 foot, get to the rim as quickly as you can. By going off of 2 feet, that allowed a Gao to catch up and make Dwayne Sutton take that charge if you're Joey Hauser. But a nice job defensively by Sutton.
And it looks like Chris Mack is going to do a little offense-defense substitution here. A Gao is standing at the moment, so don't think he'll be coming back into the game. Assume the 5 guys sitting on the stools are coming back into the game, and that means Enoch will be the big man right now on offense for Louisville. Don't forget, got another game coming, and it's number 2 against number 5, Kansas and Tennessee. A couple of terrific teams in the championship game here with the NIT season tip-off. Already the 3rd top 5 matchup. Not that rating or rankings rather mean all that much this early. It's more just for fun, but it's still pretty cool to have 2 teams as good as the Vols and the Jayhawks are getting ready to do battle here in Brooklyn.
Usually top 5 is pretty accurate any time of the year.
Already had Duke, Kentucky, and Duke, Gonzaga in a couple of top 5 matchups this season.
A little triangle inside. Shuffle cut.
Trying to get McMahon open, and Annam won't leave him, and now the ball is knocked away, and the foul is going to go against Sutton of Louisville, and Marquette getting another trip to the foul line.
Boy, really good job by Joey Hauser to knock that ball away. Boy, Louisville just not able to get into the play they wanted. And after that little shuffle cut, when McMahon came off the other side, he wasn't able to curl that. Just good defense by Marquette, and a really strong job by the freshman Hauser.
And another very good free throw shooter. Joey Hauser, Sam Hauser, Marcus Howard are all great free throw shooters. A little pacing here from Chris Mack as Marquette is inching back into this one without a whole lot of time coming off the clock. 1-point game with 1:03 to go.
Chris Mack called a set called elbow. They're getting into a horn set, 2 up top, 2 in the corners.
They play on after the bump. 14 to shoot. Cunningham the kick. Sutton from the corner for 3.
Took advantage of the freshman. Joey Hauser helps off a corner shooter. Got caught in no man's land. When you come off a corner shooter, you can't even put any pressure to make it a tough 2 on the part of Cunningham. All you did was come off a wide open corner shooter. Now watch Joey Hauser there. Comes off the corner shooter. Why? Sutton was wide open. You got to close out 25 feet, and you're just not going to make it.
So, and you've said that a lot this year. You can't come off the corner shooter. Is it just instinct or muscle memory, or why do so many guys help or overhelp into the paint and leave a guy wide open?
Well, a lot of times in high school, coaches will, you may not be as proficient of shooters in high school, so you want to take away what is the easier shot for the guy to make. So right here, like, take a look here. You got a wide open shooter in the corner, and Joey Hauser's right here. Well, what if Cunningham takes that 2? So what? It's 2. Even if he makes it, you're down just 1 possession. You give up that wide open 3. Now it's a 2-possession game with 39 seconds to go. I mean, that's a huge play right there. And look, I mean, a lot of people are taught to help. Players are taught to help. But the way the game has evolved, I think most coaches, if not the overwhelming majority in college, I know in the pros, in the NBA, would say don't leave a ball side corner shooter. Ball side corner, you have to stay with that corner shooter and then make them take the tough 2. It's just a time and score and understanding of the game situation.
Louisville getting production from everyone who has played in the game tonight. 10 Cardinals have played. 10 Cardinals have scored in this game. And for Sutton, he's now 6 for 13 from 3-point range on the season. Louisville's up 4 with 39 seconds to go.
Right now, Marquette will not turn down the open 3. But I think you want to get something going to the basket here. Put Louisville in a position to foul you. It's a 2-possession game no matter what you do. Get the 2.
Howard almost carried that ball, gets inside, takes a bump, and he'll try for 3 the old-fashioned way.
That's why you want to get to the rim. put them in a position to foul you. So instead of taking a 3, they get the 3 anyway. Boy, he just bounced right off of Malik Williams and was able to use a little English to get that ball to go in off the backboard.
And Malik Williams pleading his case that he was straight up and down.
He sort of went into him, and his arms were down. His arms didn't make contact, so that really wasn't the issue. But when your arms are down from vertical, when there is contact, they're going to call that. And because you're in the restricted arc, you have to jump.
Marquette has now made its last 15 free throws, and again, it's a 1-point game.
Boy, that was a huge play.
Out of bounds, but it stays with Louisville.
Wonder if they may go take a look at that.
Which they can do in the last 2 minutes of regulation or overtime.
If they're absolutely certain, then they don't have to look at it. But if they think there's any doubt, usually they'll go look at it just to make sure.
Did Sam Hauser reach in there and touch that ball?
It looked like he did. At least now they'll get to determine whether it sort of glanced off the right hand of Kristen Cunningham.
The reaction on Sam Hauser's face was instantaneous, as if to say, "Ooh, I think that might be out on."
I think it was off Sam Hauser. It's not often when an offensive player is pulling his hands back that the ball shoots off the other way without it being knocked away. Because watch the hand here of Hauser. It's going toward the baseline, and Cunningham's hands are going toward his waist. And I think this ball is going to stay with Louisville. That's the initial call anyway.
Right.
So but I think the video confirms it.
And if they're not sure, they'll leave it the way that it was, and they're going to leave it the way that it was.
Good. I'm 1 for 2 now on predicting what the officials are going to do off of a replay.
That's all right.
You know, it is interesting, though. So the officials are trained to make the call on the floor. When they go over to the monitor, now they're an appeals court. You know, they have to use a standard of you know, making sure it's indisputable evidence and all that. It's a totally different skill set. We ask a lot of these officials. It's really interesting.
So Louisville ball, game clock and shot clock basically dead even, as you can see. And they just do get it into Cunningham here, and then the quick foul to put him on the line and try to extend this game a little bit.
And remember, Louisville should be up 2 in this game because the officials missed a 3-point shot by Jordan Mora earlier in this game that was a clear 3. Step back, clear 3. That was counted as a 2. And so this really should be for an opportunity right now for Louisville to go up 2 possessions.
Now, if you're Marquette, Joey Hauser and Theo John, the guys down low, if this is a miss, you just got to get that rebound. You can't let Louisville get an offensive rebound on a missed free throw.
And no question, it's a big free throw block out. But also, even if he makes it, it's just a 2-point game. Should be 3, but just a 2-point game.
And Bailey comes in now for John. So it's the Hauser brothers down low. And now Chris Mack will counter by bringing in Darius Perry. Does this say to you that Steve Wojciechowski is going to let him play instead of calling a timeout, that he took out John before the free throw?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you know, if you get in trouble, you can call a timeout, or maybe he wants to call it just so they can inbound it in the front court. But you know, right now, looks like, is there some sort of timeout now? The official just blew the whistle.
I don't know. I don't think either coach called a timeout.
Well, maybe the official thought that somebody said, hey, if it goes in, we want to call a timeout. But right now, Marquette, they don't have to be in a hurry. You're certainly not down 2. You're certainly not going for the last shot. But they don't have to be in a great hurry, but you want to be deliberate and attack quickly without rushing.
Yeah, Marcus Howard just looked over to Wojciechowski and made the timeout signal, like, do you want me to get a timeout when we get it over? But I don't think they're going to call a timeout. I think that's why Bailey came in when he did, because Wojciechowski wanted this group of 5 on the floor for the offensive set.
So you got 2 shooters in the corners right now.
And 2 other guys who are probably the best shooters in Howard and Sam Hauser. Howard driving, floater, no, follow, yes, tie game.
What a terrific tip in by Hauser. Louisville couldn't get a block out. Now Louisville has to think about getting something going toward the basket. If they kick it to an open shooter, that's fine.
Chris Mack is telling Perry, go, let's go. He'll step back and miss the shot. The follow, no. 3 cracks at it, and we are going to overtime here in Brooklyn.
Boy, Louisville settled right there for that 3, even though it was an open one. It wasn't taken in rhythm or of a step back, and how many opportunities can you get? And how about this? Because the officials missed that 3-point shot by Wara, we are going to overtime. Now, the game would have been played differently. Obviously, you would make different decisions, but that's 1 point in the difference between winning and losing. Terrific tip in by Joey Hauser, and then the step back. That foot looked like it was on the line a bit.
Yeah, but why step back anyways at this point of the game?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How much more wide open can you get for a tip in? Amazing.
Kansas and Tennessee will have to wait just a little bit longer. We've got overtime between Marquette and Louisville. Tied at 68, headed to overtime after Louisville had not 1, not 2, but 3 cracks at winning it in the final seconds of the game. Missed a long jumper, a couple of putbacks, hit the rim, but it wouldn't go down, and we got some extra basketball. And again, to the point that Jay was making a little bit earlier, that shot by Jordan Warren, I'm sure this is foremost on the minds of Louisville fans right now. This shot was ruled a 2. Now that came about 9 minutes ago, and as you said, the game would have been played differently, but that's a point. Not that was taken off the board, that was never on the board for Louisville.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. But with Bill Murray in the stands, you'll get nothing and like it.
And we've got extra basketball here at Barclays with Kansas and Tennessee still coming up.
Louisville going back to that familiar set play. Got high-low. Talked about whether they could like to go to that out of the timeout. They're going right into the overtime to get the ball deep into Enoch. He just couldn't finish it. We've had more guys that have had point-blank opportunities, and they're not able to execute those plays down below.
Yeah, Enoch's had some really good looks. They look good leaving his hand, but he's just 3 for 8 on the night. Tied at 68, the 3rd place game here in Brooklyn. Everybody who's been in the game for Louisville has scored. The big scorers for Marquette have really taken over from their perspective in the second half, and Marquette's done just a great job on their free throws. And again, if you're Louisville, you just can't put Howard or one of the Hausers on the free throw line at this point of the game.
And that's the beauty of having so many great free throw shooters with balls in their hands most of the time. And you foul them, they're near automatic. And Marcus Howard has been much more aggressive in this second half of attacking ball screen situations. Doesn't matter whether he's had a switch, he's really done a good job of getting the ball into the paint.
Wara driving on Joey Hauser, draws a second defender, and it's out of bounds, still with Louisville and a fresh 30.
Boy, Louisville ran that same play where they just swung the wings across, and McMahon curls around the weak side big, and he was wide open again. I thought that Wara could have given him that ball, but Wara took it on his own.
Louisville had the lead late. Marquette battled back. Now they are up early in overtime, but not anymore after a tough driving layup by Ryan McMahon.
Well, Marquette did a good job at taking away the 3-point shot, but that's why you want to get him inside. Make him make that tough one, and to his credit, he did it.
Joey Hauser off to Sam, and now back to Howard with 12 on the shot clock.
Comes Theo John with the ball screen,
and John called for the foul.
Didn't make much contact at all, and in fact, Howard went the other way. That's the hard part about that call. Steve Wojciechowski didn't like it. If he had gone off the screen, that'd be one thing. But there's a big emphasis in the rules committee of cleaning up screening. But I don't get that call. Now that was a bad angle that the official was at, but the ball handler went the other way. There was no contact on the screen. In order for there to be a foul, there's got to be contact. And there was really no contact there. But these are, it's a point of emphasis, so you're seeing those screening calls all the time, and everybody gets touched by it.
Yeah, we're seeing more of them this year, especially when, I think what we've noticed this year, when your stance is broader, when your legs are farther than shoulder width apart, we're seeing it called more this year.
Yeah, but you can stand any way you want as long as there's no contact. Well, there was contact there.
Yeah, between Annam and McMahon. McMahon in tonight's game has been poked in the eye, got an elbow up in the face earlier, and then just got knocked flat on that play.
Yeah, I thought that was an offensive foul because even though there was movement, McMahon had legal guarding position. He just got run over.
Redshirt junior from Sarasota, Florida, known first and foremost for his shooting ability, but he's gotten a lot of minutes and been involved in a lot of other types of stuff here tonight. Pull up by Howard after he created a little space. And now Chris Mack wants the offensive foul against Marquette.
Well, he's got a fair point. There was a discard there. If you go back and watch that again, that right arm clearly went right into the chest of the defender and knocked him back. It was VJ King who had switched and then switched back to get the big guy off him. And that was a foul there.
Howard has really turned it on since halftime. A lot of dribbling on this set for Louisville. Now Enoch banging with Theo John, and John reached down with that left hand and committed the foul, his fourth. And Enoch at the line, a terrific free throw shooter. You want to say for a big guy, but you know what? He's a terrific free throw shooter for anybody. Yeah, you just notice it more because he's a big guy.
Glad you admitted how you discriminate against big people.
Sorry,
like me. Take a look at Marcus Howard here and what Chris Mack was so upset at. See, VJ King does a nice job of getting Enoch off and switching back, but that off arm goes right into King. That was kind of a Michael Jordan, Brian Russell kind of move.
You know what, Jay? That was excellent analysis for a big guy.
Told you.
Was that out loud? And he misses a free throw, so it's a 1-point game. Marquette with the ball and the lead.
See, on Black Friday, you should be nice to your retail professionals, and you should be nice to big guys, because we don't get a break.
I was nice to you in Maui.
Everybody's nice in Maui.
That's true. That's a fair point.
How could you not be nice?
Yeah.
We're in Brooklyn now.
Screen by Hauser, and it's going against Louisville. Is it Quan 4?
Yeah, it's on 4. He gave a little extra.
No,
it looked like
it's on VJ King.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it's on VJ King.
Yeah, I don't get how these things are being called, but guys better adjust to it.
And what Chris Mack just said is, you guys have got to be kidding me. The foul's on 13 in red.
That makes no sense at all. That must have been the called on the wrong guy.
Yeah.
It's miscommunication or something, because he wasn't even involved in the play.
And I don't know if they changed it. Maybe they changed it to 4, but the initial call I think that I saw was on 13.
That was either a no call or a call on the screener. There's no way you can call that on the defense.
Two-point game.
There's plenty of time to go in this one, in a one-possession game. Louisville just needs to attack a little quicker.
Won't go down for Cunningham, but he earns a trip to the free throw line.
Well, he's had a nice game, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And that was what you would call a Nash dribble, where he didn't pick it up when he got under the basket. He kept his dribble, went around to the other side. Yeah, Kristen Cunningham's had a really nice game. He scored over 1,200 points at Samford, had over 500 assists. This guy can play.
13 points, 3 assists tonight as he misses the free throw. The foul was on Marcus Howard, his 4th, so we'll keep an eye on that.
And Cunningham is a career 81% free throw shooter. And he's missed a couple down the stretch here.
And ultimately, that could prove to be the difference, is that Marquette's just done a better job from the line than Louisville has in this game.
That's always an advantage Marquette's going to have in late game situations, is they can make free throws. Weave out front, nobody protecting the basket.
Howard in and around and out, and the ball is out of bounds to Louisville. Boy, a pretty good look for a really good shooter.
Yeah, when he gets that open, you always expect those to go in.
Well, and Chris Mack is really playing 8 guys right now. Not all at the same time, obviously, but he's subbing.
That would be a violation.
That is a violation. But he's subbing 3 different guys out, in and out, depending on if they're on offense or defense. On offense, he brings back in Wara, Enoch, and McMahon.
I don't think it'd be a bad idea to give Enoch a touch inside. One, because he is such a good free throw shooter, but get the ball in the paint and let him go to work a little bit.
Just no space for McMahon to try to get off a shot. Cunningham with a seam and a foul committed by John, and he has fouled out of the game.
On the ball reversal, Louisville and Cunningham in particular did a really nice job of just attacking the basket and had the angle on John. And instead of him just going straight up and trying to bother you, he went body to body, and Cunningham was able to pick up the foul.
Here comes a line change again for Louisville. Got a little bit of time. You have a little bit of time to sort things out after somebody fouls out. Ed Morrow will be coming back in for the Golden Eagles with John fouling out.
This is one rule I'd like to see changed. I don't think the coaches need that much time to put a sub in. No. It's really not that big of a deal.
I think they reduced it from 30 to 15, I believe, but it feels like a long 15 at times.
They can reduce it to a normal sub.
Yeah.
The players don't need to go back to their coaching staffs.
Yeah. The thing is, the other coach doesn't argue it because he likes the time with his players as well.
True.
But and Louisville leads.
Clutch free throws.
Howard guarded by 4. Step back jumper, got it. Boy, is he tough.
Got away with another little discard, that time with the right hand, showing he's ambidextrous.
Remember, he's playing with 4, so a call against him would be huge. Marquette back on top by 1, 45 seconds to go in overtime.
This is where a stop wins it. Switch.
Cunningham driving on Joey Hauser. Gets it off. Won't go. Offensive rebound. And Morrow's got it. Clean block, and he comes up with it.
Boy, great offensive rebound by V.J. King, but Morrow just took it right out of his hands.
Now, you got a foul, but you want to try to foul somebody other than Howard or one of the Hausers if you can't get a steal, and a timeout called by Steve Wojciechowski.
Well, smart play to call the timeout, but not sure that Marcus Howard should have taken it across the half-court line when he saw that double team and then picked his dribble up right away. Boy, what a play by Ed Morrow, the transfer from Nebraska. And that could very well be a game-saving play, even though there's a lot of time left. Here's the first, the drive by Howard. Now that, I don't think there's much question that's an offensive foul, even though he's a little guy. Now that's pretty much textbook. And then the great play, good rebound, and then just took it right out of his hands. That was a terrific play by Ed Morrow.
And with the Marquette back on offense, looks like Morrow's going to come out. Brendan Bailey will check in for the Golden Eagles. So the shot clock is turned off. They've got an experienced point guard, one of the best shooters in America, 2 other great free throw shooters on the floor. Brendan Bailey can knock down free throws as well.
The big question is, who inbounds it? You have to have somebody reliable to inbound it. And can you get it into the hands of your best free throw shooters? And now Sam Howard obviously is, or excuse me, Sam Hauser is obviously the guy that's bringing the ball in, so he's not going to be the one. But you want to get it to Marcus Howard or Joey Hauser.
Matt Helt has come in for the first time in a long time because he can make some free throws as well. So Steve Wojciechowski has his best free throw shooters in there, and Sam Hauser to inbound. And a timeout as they can't get it in. The last timeout that Marquette has.
Louisville switching everything. Really a good job by the Cardinals to make it difficult to inbound the ball.
Marquette up 1 with the ball in a game where Louisville had opportunities at the end of regulation. This is the call we talked about earlier where that shot was ruled a 2. And then the floater by Hauser, no, but the follow by Howard, no, but the follow by Joey Hauser. tied the game. Now look at the opportunities Louisville had to win it. Again, Perry, for some reason, stepping back to take that shot with just a few seconds. A couple of taps at it. Nothing goes down.
Now Marquette is out of timeouts. They called a timeout to set that play up, and then a timeout when they couldn't inbound it.
Sam Hauser lofts it in for his brother Joey, who gets fouled right away.
Boy, Louisville made it so difficult to get the ball inbounds. But make or miss on these free throws is still a one-possession game.
Dwayne Sutton is fouled out of the game for Louisville. Joey Hauser, the freshman, will be going to the line for Marquette for 2. But again, in his short time as a collegiate player, he's been almost automatic at the free throw line. I agree with you. There's the horn. I agree with you. This should be over already.
There's really no need for this. It's like, I've always thought in baseball, it's always bugged me when they bring a guy in from the bullpen. He's got to take warm-up pitches. Wasn't he just warming up? Bring him in, let him throw. But I need to take that up with somebody else, I guess.
Yeah.
I should only complain about one sport at a time.
Thank you. And now the officials are clapping their hands and saying, "Let's go, guys!" And the officials are 100% right here. This is not the spirit of the rule. So Joey Hauser to the free throw line. He is 5 for 6 tonight, and nearly 90% so far on the season.
And you know, when you do have somebody foul out, it is like a free throw shooter freeze device. You know, you get to freeze the shooter. Now they're doing it again.
Yeah, Chris Mack wants to freeze the shooter. So,
but they already gave him the ball, and then you know, this has not been well done. Once you give the guy the ball, that's it, or it should be it.
So Louisville uses its next to last timeout. And again, as Jay said, even if Joey Hauser makes them both, still a one-possession game.
The difficulty, I think, say just for argument's sake, he makes them both, and it's a 3-point game. You know, it's too much time now with 18 seconds for Marquette to think about fouling. You know, fouling when they're up 3. You want to do that when it's 7, 6, 5 seconds or less on the clock. So there's still a lot of time left in this game, and Louisville's got, no matter what happens here, has an opportunity on the other end to really do something offensively.
Tennessee and Kansas still to come. The championship game of the NIT season tip-off from the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn. That game about 20 minutes after the conclusion of this one here on ESPN2. Looks pretty calm up there, doesn't he?
And nothing seems to bother Joey or Sam Hauser when shooting's involved. These guys know they can.
3-point game, shot clock off, 1 timeout for Louisville if they choose to use it. Cunningham with the ball for the Cardinals, down to 12.
Whatever happens, you don't want to let him get off a 3.
McMahon can't get it off, steps back, gets it off, not there. Ball still loose. Desperation 3, not there. And Marquette will win the game 77-74 in overtime.
Gutsy win by Marquette. I think Louisville is going to have something to complain about after this one.
The Cardinals go 0-2. Here in Brooklyn over the holidays, the Golden Eagles pick up a hard-fought win. A tough look for McMahon. Long rebound, and Cunningham with the desperation heave that comes up just short. And a big win for the Golden Eagles, and some dejection, as you can imagine, for Louisville, heading back home having lost both of their games here in Brooklyn.
Well, Louisville has done some good things, and they're gonna be a really good team by the end of the year.
77-74 in overtime for Marquette.